So clear out the room, I'm coming through. They wanna see what I'm about. Yeah, I got skills, do it for the thrill. I'm on a paper route. Extra, read about it. I'm today's trending topic. I put commas over bullshit. Yeah, I put that on mamas. They tryna block all my blessings. They thought I lost for stepping. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm repping. Put on for the whole city. Yeah, I got them rocking with me. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm repping.
Sending emojis, I'm blowing a pack of that OG. Don't be acting like you know me. And if you did, that's the old me. Winter time, rock a cold fleece. Pocket fat, that's obese. Only talking money if it's increased. She give me brain, girl, no teeth. I touch down, bust down. She busted open for a real nigga. Stay tommied up, tryna build it up, tryna count it up, hill figures. Don't be chillin' with no lil niggas. And if I do, I be real with them. Chase a dream, that's a meal ticket. ISO gang, yeah, they still with us.
I put it in motion, they got me steady. Thoughts on my mind, it's weighing heavy. Watch how I shine, tell them I'm ready. I'm hitting my stride, let's get to the Fetty. I was just sitting back watching them fold. Racks on me now, yeah, it's looking swole. I hold it down and I got my own. Keeping it grown, we back to the bone. Yeah, flying flashy, ayy, ayy. We too fancy, ayy, ayy. Can't walk past me, ayy, ayy. Right up your alley, wait. I gotta play it safe. Watch me isolate, watch me isolate, ayy. Watch me isolate. Whoa. Clear out the room, I'm coming through. They wanna see what I'm about. Yeah, I got skills, do it for the thrill. I'm on a paper route. Extra, read about it. I'm today's trending topic. I put commas over bullshit. Yeah, I put that on mamas. They tryna block all my blessings. They thought I lost for stepping. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm repping. Put on for the whole city. Yeah, I got them rocking with me. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm repping.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so shout out to everybody that's in the room. You guys already know the procedure. If you can hear me okay, give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me or it sounds bad or the screen presentation is looking bad, the visual, then give me a thumbs down or an angry face, all right? I'm going to shout out everybody that's in the building early. Shout out to Volvo. Good to see you. We got Hurricane IQ in the house. We got Al McCowan in the building. We got Tony in the house. Shout out to my man Tony. We got Lloyd Sky 9. Shout out to Lloyd Sky 9. We got Denise Scales in the building. Shout out to Bert. We got Black Spider, B1. What's good with it? All right. So let's get into it. All right. I'm going to try to run through this as quick as possible because I got a lot of content that I want to share with you guys today. Now, I told you guys that this series was coming. All right. Shout out to Shamika. What's good with it? It's a series called T.O.I.S. All right. Tools of Industrial Strength. All right. So here's my question. I'm going to ask you guys, what is a tool of industrial strength? What's a tool of industrial strength? Now, I want to ask you guys a question. Going forward in life, going forward into the future, would you guys agree that we're going to be moving away from the quote-unquote government model, and what you're going to see is where businesses are controlling the world? If you guys think that that's a thing, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, then give me a thumbs down. I think that that's a thing. All right. Now, shout out to the OG members, DJ Elmo, you know what I'm saying? Carla Lockhart, U-Law, Val Williams. These people have been around since I've been talking about certain things. Al McCowan, shout out to my man Al. How many people remember when I was talking about the space industry and starting a inner solar system, intergalactic economic model? Shout out to Catsy. If you guys recall that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, give me a thumbs down. Because if you ask me, universal domination is the only solution. Not just world domination, universal domination. And if you don't believe me, then my question for you would be, what are the science projects that every major government, every major company, every major corporation is doing? Shout out to Bronze the God. Bronze the God is around. There was a time when I showed a business plan. And this business plan was a plan to establish industry dominance in future industries. One of those industries was interplanetary energy transfer, i.e., an intra-atmosphere, in-between planet energy fueling and refueling station. How many people remember me talking about that? If you guys remember that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, give me a thumbs down. Now, like I said, if you ask me, at some point, companies will have their own military. Companies will. They'll have their own police force. Companies will run large regions of the United States. The model of the world, the way that we live in it today, is going to change dramatically. And the way that it's going to change is going to make it even more difficult for people to gain any kind of wealth whatsoever. So at that time when I said that, which was maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, I didn't have as many subscribers. You know what I'm saying? There was only a few people around, and those ideas might have seemed far-fetched or science fiction. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm here to inform you today that they're not. I'm here to inform you that they're not. I'm also here to show people about sunk costs. There's sunk costs associated with Black Light Revelations. You know what I'm saying? Now, here goes my question. How many people know what a quote-unquote sunk cost is? If you guys know what a, shout out to my man Jay Cage. What's good with it, bro? If you guys know what a sunk cost is, give me a thumbs up. If you don't know what a sunk cost is, then give me a thumbs down. Now, I want to say about 3 years ago, I don't know if anybody was aware of this, but there was an asteroid that flew past Earth. You know what I'm saying? It flew through the solar system. And they sent some type of camera, light rays, I don't know, maybe infrared, maybe microwave, X-ray, something, to do some type of analysis. Okay? To do some type of analysis of this asteroid. This asteroid had more gold in it than the entire world GDP. Did you guys know that? How many people knew that? I'm going to show you guys something. That may sound crazy. A lot of shit that I say sounds crazy. Now, it may sound crazy, but I'm going to tell you one thing about me. I'm very sane. Matter of fact, I'm so sane that shit that I say sounds crazy. Now, make that make sense. Trust me, it does. NASA is visiting an asteroid valued at more than the entire world economy's worth. But that's not why it's going there. Sure. Because people have never gone anywhere for anything ever. There's your evidence. Now, let me ask you guys a question. if you just suddenly had more than the entire world economy's worth, what would that do to your pockets? That's right. NASA has announced a new mission to a metal-rich asteroid called 16 Psyche. The metals that 16 Psyche is thought to contain would be worth $100 quintillion. $100 quintillion. You can't buy a lottery ticket anywhere that has a jackpot that high. As a matter of fact, you can't find any amount of money in one place at that amount anywhere in the world. In our world, at least. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says NASA is visiting an asteroid in our solar system worth more than the entire world economy. Do you guys understand that? The entire world economy. Not just the United States economy. You know what I'm saying? Not just the G20 economy. The entire world's sum of production. This dollar amount, one with 5 sets of 3 zeros after it. Quint. That's where you get the quint from. And according to NASA, they're not going there because of that value. Why has any colonizing organization gone anywhere? Just to explore, right? We're going to put on a safari hat and go check this asteroid out. The space agency has launched an uncrewed spacecraft today to explore the potato-shaped asteroid called Psyche. The metal-rich chunk of rocks orbits the sun from a distance of 235 million to 309 million miles away, or about 3 times the distance from which Earth orbits the sun, according to NASA. Psyche, also known as 16 Psyche, was the 16th asteroid ever discovered by an Italian astronomer named Annibale de Gasparis in 1852. Gasparis named it after the Greek goddess of soul, NASA said, and it's located between Mars and Jupiter. And as most people know, there's a quote-unquote asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Shout out to my man, AB Promotions. So this 16 Psyche, there's probably another asteroid that has the same amount of resources on it. Yeah, that's right. I know that's hard to fathom, right? The world economy. The world economy, not just the United States GDP. You know what I'm saying? The world economy. Okay. So, I don't think we need to read any more of this. You guys get my point. Why am I talking about that? I'm talking about that because when I talked about that a couple years ago, I said people need to start paying very close attention to these trans-Neptunian objects and these objects in space to see where people can get resources from and capitalize on that market, as well as capitalize on the machinery that's necessary to get to those objects, as well as once you get there to be able to mine them. You know what I'm saying? Look what we got here. Now, let me ask you guys a question. If we're going to move from a model of a global economy, right? Everybody talks about globalism, which is basically what the global economy is, globalism. How do you transition to a interplanetary economy? Because, if Elon Musk and his businesses have their way, at some point we'd be a binary economy, Earth's economy, and we'll be doing business with Mars. Now, here's the problem. You'll be blocked out of Mars. Why will you be locked out and blocked out of Mars? You'll be locked out and blocked out of Mars because an apartheid descendant will be running the entire planetary economy. And you know, when it comes to those people, they do business with each other with the specific means to utilize domineering tactics, as well as to create economic subordinate classes to be able to keep you out of resources and keep you at a particular position that makes it more difficult for you to ever gain power and difficult for them to fall out of power. Let me ask you guys a question. Do people want that situation for the entire universe? Let me ask you guys a question. What responsibility do people bear the future generations to stop that situation from happening? Just asking. Know what I'm saying? So now I had talked about this interplanetary business, and it sounded like science fiction until a white guy and an Asian guy decided to make this business a real thing. This asteroid mining startup is ready to launch the first ever commercial deep space mission. California-based Astroforge is running a lean operation with a high-risk, high-reward mission to mine space for precious metals. You think they got their eye on Psych 16? Let me ask you guys a question. How many black people, black businesses, do you guys think have their eyes on Psych 16? Psych 16 changed the world. Somebody that can get their hands on Psych 16, that's literally an infinity stone. A literal, actual infinity stone. You know what I'm saying? Early next year, a SpaceX rocket will be launching a drill to the surface of the moon as part of its Artemis program. And hitching a ride on that rocket will be a smaller spacecraft, which a much more distant location, an asteroid that will take about 9 months to reach. That ship, called Broker 2, is being built by California-based Astroforge as part of its journey to commercialize mining in space. Now, let me ask you guys a question. For people facing a racial wealth gap, why aren't people looking at Psych 16? Because let me ask you guys a question. What laws are there that stop you from claiming Psych 16? If you can get your hands on it. Now, here's the thing, right? I mean, who can get their hands on it? That's impossible. These guys don't think that it's impossible, and neither does Elon Musk. And as you guys can see, like I said, these people do business together. The SpaceX rocket is going to be footing much of the bill. They're doing a carpool type thing. SpaceX is launching to the moon, and Broker 2 is going to be hitched to SpaceX. And probably when it gets about halfway to the destination, is going to detach. It's going to detach and fuel itself, or it's going to detach and fly to the asteroid and start mining it. Now, let me ask you a question. If Psych 16 has more precious metals than the worth of the entire world GDP, do you think that there's any other asteroids in that asteroid belt that have similar or more value? If you guys think that there are, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys think that there aren't, then give me a thumbs down. Shout out to B1 first. Shout out to Patricia Slade, B1. Shout out to Katsy. What's good with it, Katsy? So now here it says last month, the company successfully test fired the rockets that will enable the spacecraft to make it to the distant object, a crucial last step before the spacecraft is integrated with the rocket it will launch on next year. If successful, it would mark the first time a private company sent a mission into space beyond the Earth and the moon. Now, once these people dominate interplanetary economies, what level of lockout is that going to cause for us? Got to ask yourself that question. Also, if catastrophic events take place on Earth and it causes people to have to relocate throughout the entire universe or throughout the solar system or somewhere, anywhere, let me ask you a question. You think you're getting on the spaceship or any type of transport module first? How many people heard that song that Nas made called New World? All this talk about hip hop going on nowadays. How many people heard that song by Nas called New World? It's on the I Am album. If you haven't, you guys should listen to it. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says that test was the last major milestone that the company needed to hit before sending its ship off world. Astroforge co-founder CEO Matt Gillich told Forbes. The fact that that went smoothly, we didn't show you a picture of a fireball, that means we got through the gate. We're in a really good position to make an attempt at the world's first commercial deep space mission. Now, let me ask you guys a question. When it comes to being able to get to the world's first deep space mission, how many military contracts do you think they're going to get automatically if they're able to do this successfully? I agree, Hurricane IQ. Exactly, DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo says the securing of space minerals will be akin to the film Dune, where anyone who got hold of the spice controlled the universe. Yeah, exactly, Bert. Facts. Mining asteroids sounds like science fiction. Actually, it doesn't, but it is what it is. They can say that it sounds like science fiction. Like I said, there's no such thing as fiction. How many movies have you seen that were fiction that are now fact? How does something go from fact to fiction if it's fiction? Mining asteroids sounds like science fiction, but has a very practical force behind it. As the world transitions away from fossil fuels and begins to rely more heavily on electricity, it's going to need more metals. Now, here's my question. How long have I been talking about that? Do you guys remember how many people were around for Blacklight Revelations 4? You guys remember the channel Blacklight Revelations 4 before we changed it into Reacts Podcast? This is the only kind of stuff we used to talk about on BLR4. But Earth's resources are limited, and many of the best places to mine for important metals are already being tapped. On Monday, an analysis published in the Proceeding of National Academy of Science found that the metals needed for batteries and renewable energy infrastructure could start to go up in price. Now, what does that mean? That's one of the reasons why, if you guys remember, on auditing Africa, all of those African countries that have lots of lithium deposits have nationally socialized their lithium deposits. That's another reason why they want to get into Taiwan, because the same type of metals that are necessary to create renewable energy and batteries are also necessary to create circuit boards and superconductors. potentially delaying the clean energy transition. The analysis goes on to suggest that the demand for metals will force mining companies to dig in places where such metals aren't as readily available, which comes with significant economic and environmental costs. So imagine if we're able to scout out and control all of the known metal deposits that we can find that are at a far distance that we can travel. Imagine how we'd be able to corner that type of talk, or imagine how we'd be able to corner that type of that type of market. Shout out to Shamika Gray. Shamika Gray says Eurasians are going to leave all the poor people on Earth and blow it up. That's assuming we don't leave people on Earth, which is the whole idea. You know what I'm saying? Many of the asteroids in our solar system, however, are chock full of the metals that are needed for industries of the future, such as cobalt, nickel, and platinum group metals. And how long have I been talking about this? Shout out to DJ Elmo and shout out to Bronze the God. How long have I been talking about this? I literally been talking about this for like 3 years. And you have people, they'll make their comments and things are funny. But like, is it funny now though? It's the same shit that I always ask. Is it funny now? Plus, those metals can be found at higher concentrations on Earth, meaning smaller amounts of material can be mined to produce more metals. The analysis suggests that over time, it will be possible to transition away from mining on Earth for the most part and instead rely on space resources to supply the planet's needs. That's exactly the market that Astroforge hopes to tap. Let me ask you guys a question. What happens if Astroforge successfully taps that market? What happens if Astroforge successfully taps that market? Here's my question. Why aren't people thinking at that level? Not only are they officially locked out and blocked out again, they'll be the first people to be able to do any kind of interstellar business if quote unquote extraterrestrials do indeed exist. They'll also be able to perfect terraforming technology if they're roving around on asteroids and be able to develop a technology that allows them to convert other places that are within a Goldilocks zone or create artificial Goldilocks zones to be able to build up artificial planets. Shout out to my man Win Loser Rug, B1. What's good with it, bro? So now here it says, but this isn't the first company that has tried its hand at space mining. In the early 2010s, two major efforts, Deep Space Industries and Planetary Resources, launched a lot of fanfare and collectively attracted over $60 million in venture capital from investment firms like Brian Johnson's OS firms. Both companies eventually closed their doors before the decade was out. Now, what were the circumstances behind that? Gilach and Akane are keenly aware of this history and say they've had a lot of conversations with former employees of these two companies to learn from their experiences. But one major difference between then and now, they say, is the fact that SpaceX and other companies have radically lowered the cost involved in doing business in space. I bet you there's a lot of people that didn't even know that people were doing business in space. Shout out to Hurricane IQ. I did a whole stream where I was telling people that people need to start creating engineering plans for building structures in outer space that are a light year in distance long. You know what I'm saying? Long time ago. One example of co-founder Jose Atkins cites that in a decade ago, deep space missions would have required reserving a rocket at a cost of hundreds of millions. But today, smaller spacecraft routinely share space with larger spacecrafts on one rocket, which dramatically lowers the costs involved. The company estimates that the total cost of its Broker 2 mission will be less than $10 million. And again, we've talked about this, and we've talked about ways of doing propulsion where you'd be able to do that. That's exactly win, lose, or rug facts. If you guys agree with win, lose, or rug, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to my man Jay Bird. Yeah, it's still up, Hurricane IQ. All of those old streams, they're still up. Win, lose, or rug said, if they're successful, black folks' only way into the industry will be gate kept once again. Now, this gets into the dangerous realm of gatekeeping, because now you end up stationary on Earth when we're now living in a universal commerce environment, an environment of universal commerce, which means that you might not even be able to have certain products available to you. You know what I'm saying? No, I didn't talk about that yet, John. I've talked about the Apophis asteroid before, but not about the Devil comet. So now here it says, with just $13 million in seed funding, which here's the question: where'd they get the $13 million in seed funding? Venture capitalists, that's the team sport, right? We do business, quote unquote, with each other, right? We do business with each other. If we're going to get this type of seed funding for a business that we want to start, we're not going to be able to get it in the traditional means that other people get it, because Goldman Sachs, all those people, they're not going to seed fund any business that doesn't allow them to have control or some type of residual business. And that's what people got to understand. That's what people got to understand. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like Elon Musk would fund them 13 million. A lot of the old Wall Street heads, we're not going to get that type of funding from those people. And we just have to understand that. We can't just go around and say, well, they're funding them, but not funding us. No one's going to fund us, including the United States government. We have to do this ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Now, let me ask you guys a question. Once they have started terraforming these asteroids and start understanding these asteroids and learning about the different landscapes and environments and different things like that, you think they might start building prisons? I'm gonna let you guys sit on that real quick. Let me know in the comment section. Do you think they're gonna start building prisons? And who do you think is gonna go in those prisons? How many people saw Chronicles of Riddick? If you guys saw Chronicles of Riddick, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't see Chronicles of Riddick, give me a thumbs down. Nah, I had to get up for a hot second. I was muted. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. If you guys haven't smashed the like button yet, please make sure you guys smash the like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, make sure you guys hit the bell, and please share the stream to your social media. You guys remember the prison was a whole entire planet. It was called Crematoria. You think they put that in that movie for no reason? Remember, at some point, this sounded like something out of science fiction, according to the article. Just saying. At some point, cell phones sounded like science fiction. They got $13 million in seed funding. Now, let me ask you guys a question. If you wanted to get together with 3 of your friends, right? Say, for instance, Win Loser Rug, DJ Elmo, and Lloyd Scott 9 want to get together and they had a brilliant idea. Let me ask you guys a question. Where are they going to get the money from? You know how many brilliant ideas that I had that I never got the money for? You know why I couldn't get the money? Because people do business with people that it gives them an advantage to be rich or to earn some type of power. Nobody would ever do business with me because the type of things that I want to create are things that would give me and people who would be beneficiaries of my innovations massive amounts of power. They want to maintain that power. So instead of progressing the world's technology faster and to a better place, they'll subdue global evolution to maintain power. And now somebody may say that that sounds far-fetched and I'm just talking woke, but I bet you Nikola Tesla wouldn't say that. And Nikola Tesla is a white man and they did that to him. You know what I'm saying? So we're in a dire situation. Now, people talk about the quote unquote racial wealth gap, but let me ask you guys a question. How many people have ever checked out the racial industry gap? How many people have ever checked out the racial market gap? Let me ask you a better question. Do those statistics exist? You know who else they did it to? They did it to the dude that created Napster. He invented a technology, or he didn't invent the technology, but he created a system of file sharing where music files could be easily transferred by using MP3s. You know, if you were my age when you were, if you were my age when Napster was around, you was downloading all kind of shit off of Napster and burning it onto CDs and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Now they completely destroyed Napster, and don't forget who destroyed him. Who destroyed Napster? Now the Napster technology is what all of the streaming technology is built on. So you have to be able to safeguard your work. And the dude that was able to deal with Napster, the dude that created that, he was so young and it blew up so fast. There was no way that he really could possibly record it. I remember LimeWire. LimeWire was built off the Napster technology. I remember LimeWire. Shout out to LimeWire. You know what I'm saying? All of those file sharing platforms were in competition back in them days. You know what I'm saying? But now we're moving into a new era. Now, let me ask you guys a question. This seems like it's a long way away, right? But remember, we're probably thinking that it will be a long way away if we're using human research and development. Let me ask you guys a question. What happens when we begin to have entire research and development departments that utilize artificial intelligence? What happens then? Do you guys think that the artificial intelligence research and development departments will be more efficient than human research and development departments? So if you have a company that utilizes an artificial intelligence research and development company, at what pace of innovation will you be coming out with products and product upgrades? It'll probably be damn near exponential. So now, say for instance, this company invests in an advanced artificial intelligence system, and they're able to calculate all of the necessary calculations in order to meet all of their astrophysical goals. as far as acceleration, propulsion, trajectory, sustainability at the different environment. What happens? So now here's my question. What are the implications of being locked out and blocked out of an emerging market? What are the implications of that? Are there any? What's the implications of being blocked out of a binary planetary economy? And then who knows? Maybe they'll develop a moon, just Europa, right? I think Europa is a moon of Saturn, if I'm not mistaken. Supposedly, it's got a liquid H2O surface. That's something that could be developed. So there's a couple potential places that are within reason that could possibly be reached and developed. So now here's my question. How do you create a mind state where all of the future generations are concentrating their effort on having industry domination in these kind of industries and controlling and maintaining that industry domination? Because there's all kinds of stuff that you have to do. The first thing that you got to do is you got to keep yourself safe. And you also got to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And before you even do any of that, you got to make sure that people have enough brains to even understand the implications of all of this kind of stuff. I got you, Katsy. So now here it says Astroforge is certainly putting the cost to the test, but another advantage of the current market is also the fact that unlike 10 years ago, there's now a thriving ecosystem of space companies offering off-the-shelf components, meaning that the company doesn't have to design its systems from the ground up. So that means that you can just buy the component parts that you need. So say, for instance, you need this kind of space travel device, you need this kind of engine, you need that, you need this, you need that. Well, instead of designing it on your own, you don't need to design it on your own anymore. You can buy it. That makes it easier. Astroforge already launched a spacecraft earlier this year, which is currently in orbit, testing the company's mineral refining technology. Why would they need mineral refining technology? Let me ask you guys something. Let's just say, for instance, Lloyd Sky9, John, and Hurricane came up with a company like this, and they were able to successfully get a module to the asteroid, successfully partially mine it, and bring back materials to Earth without anything going wrong. Now, let me ask you guys a question. If you're going to that asteroid called Psyche 6, you don't think you're going to bring home a little bit for yourself? So what is that going to do to your wealth? So now imagine if these people are able to if these people are able to successfully get to these asteroids, not only are they going to dominate the market, but just with a shovel full, they're going to quadruple their wealth. Everybody would. If you own a farm, who doesn't eat the food? If you can get your materials on now, mind you, imagine if we could get our hands on Psyche 16. Imagine that. Just let your mind imagine. It's not like Earth. Once we get there, the entire asteroid is ours. The worth of Psyche 16 is $1 quintillion. The single person who owns a business that successfully touched down and puts the flag in the sand on Psych 16, instantaneously is just at that moment, you own everything. Psych 16 isn't the first heavy metal rich asteroid that they've detected either. So now here it says it's certainly not out of question that lower launch costs could make a big difference for asteroid or astrofuges chances of success. Space industry analyst Chris Quilty told Forbes in an email. Although he hasn't studied the company's specific economic model, he said that the fact that launch costs have been reduced by order of magnitude opens up a quote-unquote whole universe for opportunities in space. How long have I been talking about space commerce? Now, let me ask you guys a question. They say that they don't know about the company's economic model. I wouldn't be surprised if the company works on the same economic model that everything works on, which is WS. It's one of the reasons why you see a white guy and an Asian guy and no black guy. Of course. Shout out to Hurricane IQ. Hurricane IQ says, I know this is obvious, but I just looked up the team members at Astroforge, not one black face. And because, you know, it's a white Asian alliance, they'll be able to say, well, we have people of color here. You see how that works? So now here it says both Geilich, who is 37, these guys are 37 and 39, have backgrounds in space engineering. Akane interned at NASA's Ames Research Center before spending 4 years at SpaceX. Through the value chain, Elon Musk saw a young white guy that reminded him of himself, and he said, let me give you an opportunity because I might not see anything in you, but you're white, and I'm going to help you out. Where he worked on both Falcon 9 rocket and the Dragon spacecraft. Geilich managed teams developing software for spacecraft at Virgin Galactic and Virgin Orbit. How many people knew about Virgin Galactic and Virgin Orbit? Yeah, because that Virgin guy, the owner of Virgin, he's got a spaceship. But it was only after they both left the space industry that they met while working together at e-scooter company. So see, these are friends that met, right? They didn't get together and do, you know, stupid shit. They got together and said, let's build a business, which is why these people pick their friends carefully. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm telling people about how value chains are created. I'm going to go to Starbucks with you, and we're going to sit here and we're going to draft a plan, and we're going to put this plan together, and we're going to be roommates. And the entire time that we're working together, we're going to be saving money. We're going to be eating ramen noodles the entire time. How many, as much as people watch YouTube, do people know the history of how YouTube was formed? During their tenure, Geilich says both were being recruited to work on missions for NASA at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Now, let me tell you guys how this works, right? Now, say for instance, there's a bright young black physicist, somebody who, you know, is like Neil deGrasse Tyson. You think he's going to get the first crack at the job? Probably not, which he shouldn't have to worry about, because we should have our businesses where we can take him in and cultivate him. If you are able to revolutionize the entire global economy like this, you will have power forever. You never have to be a politician. You never have to be a politician. The fact that people aren't trying to look into these kind of opportunities is another piece of evidence that tells me that people don't really want the things that they claim that they do. These people that are doing this stuff, the people that are doing this stuff want this stuff. Everybody talks about black businesses and all of this stuff. At some point, you know what I'm saying? By proxy, franchises that they allow black people to own or lease might be the only businesses on earth, and black people might be the only people on earth if things continue at the pace that they are, and all of the people that are attempting to be the pioneers of space commerce continue to look like anime characters. Now, people haven't taken my word before. You know what I'm saying? And now, as we can see, things are happening, right? So now the problem becomes, well, people will be like, we were never told about this. There's evidence on YouTube that shows that I was one of the only people, regardless whether black, white, Asian, or anybody, that was talking about this kind of stuff, putting it into place 2 or 3 years ago. Even before that, before YouTube. Cassie can tell you that. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says the two said that while the prospect of doing deep space missions was exciting, the idea of long multi-year projects embroiled in tenuous bureaucratic issues wasn't. Instead, they decided to launch Astroforge. For its first deep space mission, the company has targeted an asteroid that it thinks has a higher concentration of metals than Earth, known as an M-type asteroid. But its first mission won't actually mine anything. Instead, the spacecraft will fly by it using its cameras to explore its craters and other geologic structures to confirm this is the case. Now, let me ask you guys a question. How many people do you all know are trying to build a business like this? See, what needs to be happening is that people need to be encouraging people to go into STEM and not go into STEM to work for people. You know what I'm saying? People need to be having their kids friends with other kids in school and say, I want to be an astronaut. So we'll both go to school to be an astronaut. And as we develop our friendship, we'll develop our skills. And as we develop our skills, we'll develop our business. Now we got a business. Now, when we see other young people, we can bring them into the fold. We can go to all these different universities and find black physicists, black chemists, and say, come work for us. Don't work for NASA. Don't work for the United States government. Don't become a defense tractor. Come work for us. Come work for Blacklight Industrial. Come build us some toys. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the model that people have been taught. The model that people have been taught is to do your best in school, become the best brain that you can become, and then go do what? Go work for somebody. And then we sit here and say, we don't have no resources. How are you supposed to develop tools of industrial strength if you go and become an operator of somebody else's tools of industrial strength? I like that. I like that ring too, Carlton. Let me ask you guys something. Would business ownership decrease the rate of acceleration of the racial wealth gap, or would it keep it the same, or what kind of effect would it have? That's my question. Now, see, you got to ask yourself the question, right? If we had our hands on Psych 16, all of the problems as far as getting capital and the banks won't give us a loan and all of this nonsense, that's over with. We are the bank once we get our hands on some shit like that and control it. Matter of fact, once we get our hands on Psych 16, there'll be a new racial wealth gap. If we got our hands on Psych 16, there'll be a new racial wealth gap, and it won't look anything like the one that is currently going on today. And I'll actually like being a part of that one. If a black business claimed ownership of Psych 16, how would that change the racial wealth gap? What would that do to the racial wealth gap? If we had our hands on Psych 16 and we were able to process the metals that are on Psych 16, we would control everything in the world. Exactly, Lloyd Sky 9. Like I said, that's an actual infinity stone. And then once we had all that wealth, then you would start to see a different type of coon. Not one that we've seen before. You know what I'm saying? You'll see a lot of shit that you never saw before. But you will like it. I bet you that. So now here it says this will be the first time a human spacecraft has done a close inspection of such an asteroid. NASA's Psych mission again. So see, they're talking about Psych. Didn't I tell you? Oh, well, we're just testing this stuff out. This company's trying to get its hands on Psych 16 is what it's trying to do. If these people get their hands on Psych 16, it's over. Literal over. There, unless some other discovery is made somewhere, there will be it will be virtually impossible with the known technology that we have today to be able to cover any racial wealth gap if these people get their hands on Psych 16. NASA Psych mission, which launched on Friday, is heading to explore another M-type asteroid, but it won't reach its destination until 2029. So there's 3 years. Astroforge hopes the data gathered on Broker 2's mission can then be used to plan future mining missions. So now if they're able to reach Psych and they start to mine it, let me ask you guys a question. Are they going to claim the entire asteroid? Yeah, of course. Because now when we're talking about the realms of outer space, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to the realms of outer space, what government agency is going to regulate what you do up there and out there? There's no laws out there. So whatever you land on is yours. You set up a long-term operation there. You become the expert at it. You make it so that nobody can go there and survive unless they go through you. And of course, then they got to pay. And shout out to everybody hitting the bot. Shout out to Hurricane. Shout out to Denise. Shout out to John. So now it says eventually the company's goal is to mine 1 or 2 tons worth of material and return it to Earth to sell on spot markets. This is exactly what I told you guys that they would do. It hopes this will end up being cheaper than mining on Earth for metals like platinum. The company thinks it can support mining missions with over 80% margins. Win, lose, or rug, you still in here? If you had an opportunity for an investment or a trade with an 80% margin, what would you do on it? And that question is for win, lose, or rug, but anybody can answer. Platinum currently trades at about 25 million per ton. They're trying to get 2 tons worth of platinum from Psych 16. Every step of the way is a gamble, Astroforge founders acknowledge, but they're hopeful of the payoff. We're in an all or nothing company, Gilich said. All of our chips are in the center of the table every 6 months. That's what makes it fun and exciting to us. And this is the way we'll continue to operate the company until we either mine an asteroid or go bankrupt. So they talking about get rich or die trying. They talking about get rich or die trying. Oh, you already know, Carlton. It'll be like Twitter in space. You know what I'm saying? Unless we control it first. I haven't seen Carla or Val show up yet. But DJ Elmo, you still in here? If DJ Elmo's still in here, let me know if you're still in here, bro. There you go. Katsy, you see that right there? Now, all of the OG channel people, I know they jaws is on the ground. All of my OG channel subscribers, Bronze the God, DJ Elmo, Val, Carla. Look at that. Look at that. Jay Bird too. I forgot about Jay Bird. Jay Bird too. Oh, I'll put it in the Discord if you want me to put it in the Discord, John. I got you, bro. To build gas stations in space. Build gas stations in space. What y'all think about that? What you need a gas station in space for? Look at this. I'm about to show y'all something real quick before we get back to that. How many people remember the political multitasking? If you guys remember that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, give me a thumbs down. I know there's some people that remember the political multitasking. Yeah, he'd be throwing it the Milky. He'll be throwing it the quote unquote Milky Way, Carlton. What do you think about that? You guys remember when I did this presentation? Political multitasking, unifying competition to increase overall effectiveness. What are the objectives? What are the ways that we can make both parties deliver our objectives? How can we mask the information from media and polls? Vote in an aggressive way and, if necessary, an antagonistic way. Create a local, state, and federal block matrix. Determine predetermined ultimatums. Industry dominance and stable business. Create a pack and lobby groups that are controlled by the grassroots. The intergalactic lobby will be crazy. The interplanetary lobby will be crazy. The multiplanetary political system will be crazy. Future industries to dominate. Space hospitality, space hotels, space refuel. Stratospheric commerce. Space docks, space garages, space emergency medical care. I said that people need to set up these little discs all over the place, just these floating little discs, floating little boxes where people can, almost like bars and hotels, where people can just dock, refuel, you know what I'm saying, and then shorten the distance between point A and point B in space. You know what I'm saying? But those type of streams like this one, where you only get 35 people that are watching, but I guarantee you more than 35 people gonna get mad when they feel the effects of this kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? This startup raised nearly $30 million to build gas stations in space. Blacklight talked about owning the entire concept of space, of gas stations in space, about 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Hey, maybe next time, right? So now here it says old satellites don't lie. They fade away. Well, more technically, they're gently nudged with their last bit of remaining fuel into the Earth's atmosphere so that they can be incinerated harmlessly by the resulting fiction. Either way, ending the days when still useful satellites are junked because they run out of gas is the primary goal for Orbit Fab, which aims to build a network of orbital fuel refueling depots that can keep satellites around longer. Man, listen. Man, listen. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. You know what I'm saying? It already has the backing. Look at what I tell you about the defense contracts. It already has the backing of the Department of Defense and has developed an open standard for refueling ports to be used by satellite manufacturers. I showed y'all the receipts. We talked about this a while ago. How long ago was that, DJ Elmo, that we talked about this? You know what I'm saying? On Monday, the Colorado-based company announced that it raised an oversubscribed $28.5 million series, a round led by 8090 Industries, bridging its total venture investments to $31.6 million. The company declined to state a valuation. If you don't have a reusable rocket, you're gone. In a couple of years, if you don't have a refuelable satellite, you're gone too. Hey, man. That's one of the reasons why I decided to start a YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I got all that in the I got all that shit in the business plan, Hurricane. Now let me ask you guys a question, quote unquote black celebrities, quote unquote black millionaires. And Tyler Perry thinks that it's like that he's doing some big shit because he made a studio in Atlanta. This motherfucker should be trying to claim ownership of a planet that he can call Atlanta and make the entire planet a studio. I think that a lot of people have been trained to think very small. And I'm not exactly sure what people can do to vacate that small form of thinking. But like I said, in the future, where the quote unquote warrior class of people look like Steve Urkel and Carlton, people better get with it. People better get with it. Because by the time this stuff becomes like Circle K, instead of Circle K, it'll be called Galactic K. Unless they've come up with some type of cryogenic preservation and, 3D printing of replacement body parts, which they probably actually will. More than likely, your boy Blacklight will be a memory. But information lasts forever. But the question is, will the right people take advantage of it? They always, on those cartoons and stuff that we like to watch back in the day, they have all these things. G.I. Joe will be protecting some shit, and they'd be like, "Oh, we just don't want it to get into the wrong hands." Well, now in your wise age of adulthood, do you know who the quote unquote wrong hands are now? Those would be the ones with melanin on them. So now here it says, for Orbit Fab, CEO Daniel Faber, extending the lifespan of satellites is a natural progression from the standard for reusable rockets that's been set by SpaceX. So again, like I said, these are the things that people need to be paying attention to. We need to have some business that's in competition. SpaceX cannot get... I've heard about this. Shout out to Carlton Way. Rob, when you get a chance, look up the company Autos Labs. They plan on making people live forever. Yeah, there's a couple different models of quote unquote making people live forever that they say that they want to try to implement. There's the digital consciousness, you know what I'm saying? Then there's the biological refinery. There's a bunch of different stuff. I'd rather not, me personally. Because here's my question. If there's no such thing as death, then is it actually life? Life is defined by the point which you're born and the point that you die, right? So if you don't die, then is what you're engaging in actually considered life? If you ask me, it's not. It's something different. I don't know what it would be. I don't know what you would call it, but life is defined by death as well. So if you don't die, then your life has changed into something else that I don't know if there's a classification for. They call it eternal life, but that's impossible. Life can't be eternal because life is based on a finite chronology. When you are born to when you die, that's your life. That's your lifespan. How do you have a lifespan if your life is infinite? Everybody knows what infinity looks like mathematically, right? There's no span. You just approach a limit. You ever seen those equations or those derivatives in calculus where it says x approaching LIM? So your life would go from a finite destination to you're approaching something, some limit, whatever the hell the limit might be. You have to, that'll be something that'll have to be calculated when that's a problem that's created. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that it'll any longer qualify as life. Mathematically, chronologically, at least. People will probably call it life, but, you know, that's just like people call phones. Most people don't even use their phone 90% of the time to make calls in versus calls out. Now people use their phone for other stuff. I don't even know if you can call your phone a phone anymore. I think it's probably more appropriate to call it a personal assistant. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it is what it is. So now here it says, if you don't have a reusable rocket, you're gone, he says. That's what the industry is looking at. In a couple years, if you don't have a refuelable satellite, you're gone too. That's the paradigm shift that people are buying into. Now, here's my question. What's a paradigm shift? I don't even want to live 150 to 200 years, John. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. Whenever it's time for me to go, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I like clocking out early from everything. And you know what I'm saying? Work, everything, all that shit. Shout out to my man, Kid Gravity. What's good with it, bro? Building up an infrastructure that allows for satellites to be refueled is easier said than done. For one thing, it's hard to get manufacturers to invest in refueling capabilities without there being refueling infrastructure and vice versa. So now here's my question. Say, for instance, you wanted to start up one of these kind of companies. You're already going to have a hard time for the reasons why we already know. But now here's my question. How will you build a refueling infrastructure? You know what I'm saying? You know, I think these are questions that's worth asking. That said, the financial incentive is huge. Large geostationary satellites that power applications like communication networks can cost hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars. And just launching them can cost tens of millions. But gravity from the Earth, the sun, and the moon can all slightly wobble those satellites out of their desired path, requiring fuel to stay in position. Orbit Fab is currently pricing the cost of refueling one of those satellites at $20 million for 100 kilograms of hydrazine, which helps satellites stay in position longer, extending their useful lives. How many people even knew that this was an industry? If you guys knew that this was an industry, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't know that this was an industry, then give me a thumbs down. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 36 people watching and we got 53 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, make sure you guys hit the bell and share the stream to your social media. You've got an asset in orbit. You should treat it like an asset, says Faber. Now, isn't this is the same shit that I've been saying? He adds that the other advantage of fueling in space is that it's cheaper than launching the same amount into space in the first time. And that's what I was telling you about cutting the distance between point A and point B. If you have a distance of point A and point B and you can place your space fueling stations in convenient locations between point A and point B, you're technically making point A adjustable, right? And you're changing the distance between point A and point B by creating a resting place for fuel and maintenance, right? So, like, you will have these refueling stations, and then you can eventually expand the fuel refueling station and turn it into a maintenance station, right? Like, say, for instance, you got like a burnt out propulsion engine or something. Okay, well, we can fix that for you if you want to wait. You know what I'm saying? We got a hotel over here. We got a little resort. You know what I'm saying? It'll take our engineers like, a day or two to get this together. We got to get the parts, right? We got to get the parts. But now, how much you want to bet that Amazon is already trying to corner the market of interplanetary delivery services? So, we get the parts, we get the hydrogen combustion engine that we need, an Amazon drone to deliver it. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says that means that a satellite wouldn't necessarily have to launch with a full gas tank, which this is literally what I said. And the thing is that if you can position these things in optimal locations all throughout outer space, what you're not gonna be able to change the time, but you will be able to change the distance, which that's important because it'll make things more safe and it'll make things slightly more fuel effective in the short term. You know what I'm saying? Big facts, KG. Blacklight Galactica. Facts. Come up with the big conglomerate B1 Galactica. You know what I'm saying? Send a mission into space and find a galaxy that hasn't been explored. A spiral galaxy, find a couple solar systems with Goldilocks zones. Name it the B1 galaxy. Now, what's sad about this is that we're talking about this. Massive amounts of people will laugh at us. The white boys is over there talking about it. They're going to get $30 million. We're going to get 30 million ha-has and funny comments. They're going to get $30 million. How do I know? I know for a fact because it's already happened. This is an idea that I've had a long time ago. Nobody was interested. I shouldn't say nobody was interested, not the subscribers, but, as far as other people listening. Carlton said, what about a black and brown galaxy instead? Listen. A lot of these people act like they're on a different planet already, and they haven't even left the Earth. So now here it says, since its founding in 2018 by Faber and Forbes, 30 under 30, Jeremy Schneal, the company has taken a number of steps to build a fueling infrastructure in orbit. So they're building this fuel infrastructure in orbit. So now, again, I got to ask the question, who of us is building something like this? Can you imagine the type of super PACs that this can create? Imagine the kind of political strength that you would have if you cornered this market early. Imagine that. So now here it says in 2019, it demonstrated that its refueling hardware worked when it became the first private company to deliver water to the International Space Station. One of its major innovations is the Rapidly Attachable Fuel Transfer Interface, or RAFT, which is an open license standard for refueling ports on spacecrafts that's been adopted by several government agencies, including the Department of Defense and over 100 commercial entities. You can't even get people to sit still long enough to even listen to content like this, let alone develop it, and then they turn around and say, what? As the racial wealth gap is increasing. This is what I'm saying. You cannot have it both ways. You have to choose which way that you actually want it and then stay dedicated to that way that you want it. You either want to be a spectator in your sustenance, you either want to be a spectator in your demise, or you want to be a participant in your dominance. Those are the choices that people have to make. You know what I'm saying? Those are the choices that people have to make. The fact that these kind of talks and this kind of stuff is virtually non-existent, and then even when you do dare to be that one oddball that's talking about it, and the other people that aren't talking about it want to try to shout you down, and shout out to Win Loser Rug for hitting that Nightbot. I don't know what to say, but what I do want people to say is, people going forward, when they hear these industries that I've been talking about for a long time, and we get, hopefully not, but if the event comes where we get locked out, blocked out, make sure you say self-induced trauma deserves zero sympathy. You know what I'm saying? Self-deserved trauma deserves zero sympathy. If you can't swim, you drown. And those aren't my rules. That's literally what happens. Shout out to Carlton Way. Carlton said that some people will call it plebiscite babble. Other people will call it $30 million worth of game. But I guarantee you it won't be Gilly the Kid that says that. This is the kind of plebiscite babble that they talk about at Caltech and Princeton. You know what I'm saying? That kind of plebiscite babble, you know. That plebiscite babble that Bill Gates and Elon Musk do. The kind of people that everybody complain about because they have so goddamn much money. But it's plebiscite babble when I'm talking about an asteroid that has been confirmed that has $1 quintillion worth of metal resources on it. Hey, plebiscite babble. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DSB. What's good with it, bro? Plebiscite babble. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? We ain't here babbling early. The Department of Defense, they thought it was such plebiscite babble that they decided to give this company the contracts. You know what I mean? I got receipts. I got receipts. That buy-in from the Department of Defense, because the Department of Defense decided to buy in on some plebiscite babble, you know what I'm saying, says Quilty is crucial for the company's future profits because it sets standards that the industry is following. Additionally, the company builds the interface hardware and works with spacecraft manufacturers to encourage its integration. It's a smart business model, he comments. So I want you guys to pay very close attention to that. Shout out to my man, Carlton Way. What some people consider a smart business model, others will tell you it's plebiscite babbling. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. This plebiscite babble was worth $21 million worth of contracts. Those same people that'll tell you that this shit is worth plebiscite babble, or this plebiscite babble, then they'll turn around and tell you some people be acting like they scared of money. I'm talking about going after an asteroid that's worth more than the world economy. You know what I'm saying? Did that sound like I'm scared of money? Big facts, Hurricane. But you know I'm not lying. You know people will say that shit, right? People will literally say that. And then 10 years from now, guess what you will hear about? You will hear about a lawsuit about racism at an Orbit Fab refueling station in 2050. We's are just a don'ts, knows, or what's to do's. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You're getting abused. And that's exactly what the fuck is supposed to happen to you. Because when you had the opportunity to corner the market, it was plebiscite babble. So now you're plebiscite babbling to a judge that has more in common with the business that you're suing, when you could have actually dominated the business and possibly utilized that industrial strength power tool that you developed to take control of the court. Everything ain't a dice roll. Some shit is calculated. Matter of fact, a lot of shit is calculated. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell y'all something. If you say, hey, you know what? I gotta tell you something. 1 + 1 = 2. And I can use that to make some money. If anyone ever tells you that something that is true is plebiscite babble, just take note and do your thing. Just take note and do your thing. I guarantee you, every single one of these future industries, they'll all at some point be sued for discrimination and racism. I guarantee it. Why am I saying that right now? I'm saying that so that when that happens, the motherfuckers that are sitting in this comment section and after the video, I'm not talking about the people here because you guys are great. And I'm not talking about the people from here that comment after videos on the replays. I'm talking about them strays that come through that'll sit there and say, well, what this got to do with black people? When that comment comes up 50, 60 years in the future, make sure you link them to this video. And you link them to that video and you tell them people like you should have died off back then so that people like us could have changed the future and none of this stuff would have ever happened. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. That may sound harsh, but it is what it is. Remember, we talked, shout out to, is DJ Elmo still in here? Remember when we talked about contaminants? See, that was a stream that there was, you know, the core group of people wasn't in here. It was a lot of people in that stream, and a lot of people didn't like that stream. We talked about filtration systems and contaminants. Because I believe in filtration and decontamination. You know what I'm saying? And people didn't like that. Let me ask you guys a question. When you wash your hands, do you save the dirt off your hands or do you just let it go down the sink? Yeah. I'm just saying. You use your imagination on that one. So these projects are starting to launch in 2024. So we'll see this stuff launch in 2024. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Do you think that the department, see, in addition to adopting the RAFTI standard, the federal government has also entered into $21 million worth of contracts with Orbit Fab to refuel Space Force satellites and develop orbital docking depots. So they're going to be, so they got the Space Force contracts. So they're getting all that government money. Yep. Bro, by this time, with this kind of intergalactic stuff, they'll be complaining about aliens, immigrant aliens, being their supervisors and managers. Man, these motherfuckers came from the Zeta system, and you know what I'm saying? They couldn't get it popping over in the Zeta system, and now they're here. You know what I'm saying? I could be working at this Galactic Circle K, but this motherfucker with 6 arms and 2 heads is working here because they work for cheap. You know what I'm saying? Hey. Hey, like I said, self-induced trauma deserves zero sympathy. Yeah, Jar Jar Binks is my manager. Carlton, I told you the prices for selling Earth Citizens Newports are 17 Bitcoin, damn it! Imagine working for some fat bastard like Jabba the Hutt. Now, you know Jabba the Hutt is going to have you working in slave labor conditions in a bar, an unsafe bar on Tatooine, getting paid 1 cent per minute on a planet where the orbit is twice the orbit of the sun. So a minute on that planet is 120 seconds instead of 60 seconds. What you mean you are tired? The contract says for 8 hours of work per day. Lockout, blackout, man. The fiction is only fiction for a short amount of time until it's not, right? If you don't believe me, just ask the cell phone. You don't believe me, just ask the airplane. You don't believe me, just ask the internet. You know what I'm saying? So now here says the company is also inking agreements with the commercial sector, including a contract it signed last year with Tokyo-based Astroscale, which is developing satellites aimed at removing junk in space. I was talking about interstellar and intersystem trash removal also. You know what I'm saying? Incidentally, another advantage of having refuelable satellites is less debris in order to begin with, says Faber. The company, now mind you, right? This is a self-created problem. Right. Listening to some funky ass music. And Jar Jar Binks, you know what I'm saying? Or not Jar Jar Binks, but Jabba the Hutt. Jabba the Hutt is like interstellar, but he's that motherfucker's a alien from a different planet, but he's ideologically the same as the motherfuckers in Dubai. You know what I'm saying? Jabba the Hutt is ideologically similar to those motherfuckers in Dubai. So if you're a woman and you working at a Jabba the Hutt bar, if you trying to like pocket a little bit extra tip money, don't be surprised if Jabba the Hutt slaps the shit out of you right in the middle of the bar. You know what I'm saying? They had modern Queen Leia on a damn dog leash. Don't forget that shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Princess Leia, they had her modern ass on a dog leash when she was getting out of control up there. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Jabba the Hutt wasn't taking that shit. Shut up, bitch. You talk too much. You know what I'm saying? Like that, the motherfuckers actually say that shit with that kind of voice. These earth bitches need to learn some manners. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You go to some motherfucking alien ass Dubai shit. Good luck. I don't know what to tell you. Trucker get out of line on Tatooine, you're gonna be in a damn rock prison somewhere with Han Solo and Lando Calrissian as your cellmates and shit, and Chewie back there dropping Chewbacca hair, all Wookiee hair all over the damn place. You know what I'm saying? She gonna be like, "What'd you do?" The Chewbacca looking motherfucker gonna be like, Oh, Chewy, why don't you just tell her? Don't nobody want to go to jail on no damn Tatooine. You know what I'm saying? Oh shit! I'm telling you, man. Just wait. You know what I'm saying? Chris Tucker will be the fucking doing a concert at that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Snip they're talking about Kobe. Like, man, it's gonna be all bad in the future. So now here it says, incidentally, another advantage of having refuelable satellites is less debris in orbit to begin with, says Faber. The company has additionally signed agreements with space startups, Phase 4, Dawn Aerospace, and Neutron Star Systems. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What do those businesses do? Yeah, that prison on the planet on the Chronicles of Riddick was called Crematorium. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says with the new investment. So they got all this investment. With this new investment round, Faber says his company aims to accelerate the development of its infrastructure as well as expand its team by hiring 25 more people to complement its current headcount of about 60. With a bigger team and more capital, Faber says his company will be able to accelerate the development of not just his company, but the space industry more generally. The value that gets created by making satellites reusable and letting them do things they haven't been able to do before is incredible, he says. And that's what's really driving an investment. Okay. See down here, this article right here. These satellites aim to both securely communicate and clean up junk, and they're launching this year. Okay. So now here's my question. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? Now I got another question for you guys. How many people have heard of psilocybin? If you ever heard of a chemical called psilocybin, give me a thumbs up. If you guys haven't, then give me a thumbs down. What is psilocybin and what does it do? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, make sure you guys smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, make sure you guys hit the bell. We got 47 people watching and we got 60 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 100, that'd be great. Psychedelic. If you guys agree with Bert, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, then give me a thumbs down. Now, here goes my question. How many people knew about this? Psychedelics seem to change how fast our brains learn. Researchers might fully understand how now. That's interesting. Do you guys think that these enhance your ability to learn? Or do you guys think that they make your ability to learn hindered? Let me know what you guys think. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to tell you guys, make sure that you watch this stream all the way through to the end. It will take you into the Reacts live stream window. And we're doing Reacts podcast today at 3:00. So it'd be great to see everybody there. All right. So now what it says is that the human brain can change, but usually only slowly and with great effort, such as when learning a new sport or a foreign language or recovering from a stroke. Learning new skills correlates with changes in the brain, as evidenced by neuroscience research with animals and a functional brain scan in people. Presumably, if you master Calculus 1, something is now different in your brain. Now, let me ask you guys, what would it be that's different in your brain? Oh yeah, you know about the mushroom ape theory. Shout out to my man 42 Tribes. Furthermore, motor neurons in the brain expand and contract depending on how often they are exercised. A neural reflection of use it or lose it. How many people have ever heard of there's an app on the phone called Luminosity, and allegedly this app has games that are designed to prevent or to slow down quote unquote neuroplasticity. If you ask me, that's one thing that all people should do as often as possible is always attempt to engage themselves in activities that prevent neuroplasticity. But then again, that's just something that I think. You know what I'm saying? People may wish their brains could change faster, not just when learning new skills, but also when overcoming problems like anxiety, depression, or addictions. Clinicians and scientists know that there are times when the brain can make rapid and enduring changes. Most often, these occurs in the context of traumatic experiences, leaving an indelible imprint on the brain. But positive experiences, which alter one's life for the better, can occur equally as fast. Think of a quote unquote spiritual awakening, a near death experience, or a feeling of awe in nature. Social, which speaking of feeling of awe in nature, that, like I said, that would be something that I would want to do too, as far as like a business. Being able to create like resorts in space, interstellar space, that have the natural view of spectacular interstellar events like the Horsehead Nebula, or, we'd be able to calculate in time when a neuron star is being formed and people can like watch the explosion take place. People would pay for that kind of shit if it was available. People go to watch destructive forces of nature all the time. You know what I'm saying? Social scientists call events like these psychologically transformative experiences, or quote unquote pivotal mental states. For the rest of us, they're forks in the road. Presumably, these positive experiences quickly change some quote unquote wiring in the brain. How do these rapid positive transformations happen? It seems the brain has a way to facilitate accelerated change. And here's where it gets really interesting. Psychedelic assisted psychotherapy appears to tap into this natural neural mechanism. Now, here's my question. If you ask me, this is common sense. Why is this common sense? The reason, if you ask me why it's common sense, is because for many reactions that involve specific brainwave patterns, there's chemicals and ions that are assigned to each thing. Fight or flight response, you have norepinephrine and epinephrine. Pleasure, pain, you have dopamine. Chemical P, GABA. You know what I'm saying? All of these different things, right? So for most experiences, you can usually find increase or decrease in blood levels of certain chemicals, which makes sense because the way that your body communicates is through chemistry. The blueprint of your body shows how to recreate the proteins in your body through chemical architecture, which is allegedly DNA. It has the chemical instructions on how to make you. Which you have to ask yourself the question, are those chemical instructions how to quote unquote make you? If your consciousness exists, will DNA recreate your consciousness as well? Can your consciousness be transferred? Nobody knows the answer to those questions. And honestly, those are questions that I don't want to know the answer to. But regardless of if you want to know the answer to them or not, somebody's going to discover it. Somebody's going to capitalize off of it. And somebody's trying to work on how to figure out doing that stuff right now. So It may as well be you. So now here it says psychedelic assisted psychotherapy. Those who have had a psychedelic experience describe it as a mental journey that's impossible to put into words. Now, how many people have ever had a quote unquote lucid dream? If you've had a lucid dream before, give me a thumbs up. If you guys haven't had a lucid dream, then give me a thumbs down. Who's had a lucid dream? Does anybody know what that is? What a lucid dream is? What's a lucid dream? Now, I don't know if they've done any of these kind of tests or not. I don't know if there's been a study that looks into this stuff or not. There probably is one. But common sense would tell me, and it wouldn't surprise me, if that during different kinds of dreams, different kind of hormones like MOA and dopamine are circulating at fluctuating blood levels. Because again, chemicals drive a lot of these changes. One of the chemicals that drives a lot of the changes between your nerves, neurosynapses, is called acetylcholine. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, however, it can be conceptualized as an altered state of consciousness with distortions of perception, a modified sense of self, and rapidly changing emotions. Presumably, there's relaxation of the higher brain control, which allows deeper brain thoughts and feelings to emerge into conscious awareness. Psychedelic assisted psychotherapy combines psychology of talk therapy with the power of a psychedelic experience. Researchers have described cases in which subjects report profound, personally transformative experiences after one psychedelic substance, psilocybin, taken in conjunction with psychotherapy. For example, patients distressed about having advancing cancer have quickly experienced relief and unexpected acceptance of the approaching end. How does this happen? Research suggests that new skills, memories, and attitudes are encoded in the brain by new connections between neurons, sort of like branches of a tree growing towards each other. Neuroscientists even call the pattern of growth aberration. Now, these connections between neurons, that's called a neurosynapse. Okay? Researchers using a technique called two-photon microscopy can observe this process in living cells by following the formation and regression of spines on the neurons. The spines are one half of the synapses that allow for communication between one neuron and another. And like I said, there's what's called the calcium channel. And then there's what's also called the sodium potassium channel. And what ends up happening is that sodium, potassium, those anions exchange for acetylcholine at a neurosynapse and either create the ability for you to move or create the initiation of what would be the start of a thought. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says scientists have thought that enduring spine formation could be established only with focused, repetitive mental energy. However, at a lab at Yale recently documented rapid spine formation in the frontal cortex of mice after one dose of psilocybin. So now what does that mean? What that means is that they're assuming that psilocybin has some type of correlation with rapid spine formation. Here's a better question, Carlton. Have you ever woke up while you were awake? Only the people that's ever happened to know what I'm talking about. Like you've actually been awake, but then you woke up. How many people has that ever happened to you? If anybody's ever experienced that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys haven't experienced that, then give me a thumbs down. These changes occurred when examined one day after treatment and endured for over a month. Psychoactive molecules primarily change brain function through the receptors on the neural cells. The serotonin receptor, 5-HT, the one famously tweaked by antidepressants. And when they talking about this, right, serotonin receptor, that's what SSRI means. How many people know what SSRI means? That's a class of drug of psych meds. You know what I'm saying? Anybody know what SSRI means? Somebody tell me in the comment section what SSRI means. I'm not sure if Prozac is one or not. So now, right here it says the serotonin receptor 5-HT, the one famously tweaked by antidepressants. So these antidepressant classes that I'm talking about are SSRI. SSRI means selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Yeah, shout out to Win Loser Rug. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. What that means is that these drugs select a serotonin receptor, which is called 5-HT2A, and it stops 5-HT2A from being able to bond with serotonin. So you have more circulating serotonin. Otherwise, it would be reuptaken or absorbed. That's what inhibit means. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. So it's going to inhibit the reuptake selectively of serotonin, selectively at receptor 5-HT2A. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't make sense, give me a thumbs down. So now here it says it comes in a variety of subtypes. Psychedelics such as DMT, the active chemical in the plant-based psychedelic ayahuasca, stimulate a receptor cell type called 5-HT2A. This receptor also appears to mediate the hyperplastic states when the brain is changing quickly. Now, when is the brain changing quickly? The brain is changing quickly in your childhood. You know what I'm saying? That's when you had the easiest time to be able to learn, is in your childhood. As you get older, it's a little bit different for you to learn certain things like symbol recognition and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? These 5-HT2A receptors that DMT activates are not only on the neuron cell surface, but also inside of the neuron. It's only the 5-HT2A receptor inside of the cell that facilitates rapid change in the neuronal structure. Serotonin can't get through the cell membrane, which is why people don't hallucinate when taking antidepressants like Prozac or Zoloft. Why is that? Because it can't get in there because it's already inhibited. That's where the I comes from in SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which what that means is that imagine that they're circulating serotonin and you have an open bottle of wine. Now, what happens is that the SSRI puts the cork back inside of the wine before serotonin can get inside of the wine bottle. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't make any sense, give me a thumbs down. That's what that does. Okay. The psychedelics, on the other hand, slip through the cell's exterior and tweak the 5-HT2A receptor, stimulating dendritic growth and increased spine formation. All right. So now, how many people know what dendritic growth is? If you know what a dendritic growth is, give me a thumbs up. If you don't know what a dendritic growth is, give me a thumbs down. What's a dendrite? Has anybody ever seen what a nervous cell looks like? If you guys have seen what a nerve cell looks like, let me know. A nerve cell looks like a giant amoeba with stems coming from it, right? A nerve cell looks like a giant amoeba with a bunch of stems coming from it. The long stem is called the axon. The parts that branch off of the axon are called the dendrite. So when they say dendritic growth, what this means is that dendrites either grow or they extend. Shout out to YGLTB1. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to G Mars. See, here's a diagram of a cell, and see where those synaptic terminals are touching that other one, which that other cell right there is called an astrocyte. The axons go into the dendrites, and the dendrites form the synaptic terminals, and the synaptic terminals send the signal based on either sodium, potassium, or chlorine into the other cell in the form of an electric signal. That's why it's called an anion cation chain. These actually work the same way as batteries and electrical wires, believe it or not. And that's one of the reasons why I call the body like human machinery, because it actually is. You know what I'm saying? But that's another story for another day. All right, so that's the diagram right there. So now here we are talking about dendritic growth and increased spine formation. Here's where this story all comes together. In addition to being the active ingredient in ayahuasca, DMT is an endogenous molecule synthesized naturally in mammalian brains. All right. So now here's the thing, right? There's some people that believe that DMT production, natural DMT production, is what causes the phenomenon of quote unquote your life flashing before your eyes, or the quote unquote euphoria that you have while you die, or like you might not feel any pain if something traumatic happens to you suddenly. Like, say for instance, you lose your arm and you just see your arm laying on the ground, but you don't feel any pain. It's that release of biological DMT that occurs. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, as such, human neurons are capable of producing their own quote unquote psychedelic module or molecule, although likely in tiny quantities. It's possible the brain uses its own endogenous DMT as a tool for change, as when forming dendritic spines on neurons to encode pivotal mental states. It's possible that the psychedelic assisted psychotherapy uses this naturally occurring mechanism to facilitate healing. All right. So to facilitate healing would imply that they can find some detectable form of damage. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Carla. What's good with it, Carla? All right. So now here it says a word of caution. In her essay collection called These Precious Days, author Ann Patchett describes quote unquote taking mushrooms. What's the other? There's some other psychedelic shit too. Like, I think you could get it from tribal places out west, peyote or something like that. Taking mushrooms with a friend, and they also decriminalized mushrooms in Colorado. I think you can buy them right at a store. The brain is very powerful. How many people saw that movie called Lucy? If you saw that movie called Lucy, and I'm not talking about buying a single cigarette in the DMV, I'm talking about the actual movie called Lucy. Give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't see it, give me a thumbs down. Like the movie Lucy is about an over exaggeration of this type of phenomenon. That's basically what that's basically what the basis of that movie was. You know what I'm saying? So now it says in her essay collection, These Precious Days, author Ann Patchett describes taking mushrooms with a friend who was struggling with pancreatic cancer. The friend, who had a quote unquote mystical experience and came away feeling deeper connections to her family and friends. Patchett, on the other hand, said she spent 8 hours hacking up snakes in some pitch black cauldron of lava at the center of the earth. It felt like death to her, which is interesting because how does something feel like something you've never experienced? But it is what it is. Psychedelics are powerful, and none of the classic psychedelic drugs, such as LSD, are approved yet for treatment. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration in 2019 approved ketamine, rest in peace, Elijah McClain, in conjunction with an antidepressant to treat depression in adults. Psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy with MDMA, often called ecstasy or Molly for PTSD, and psilocybin for depression are phase 3 in trials. Now, if you ask me, you should be allowed to buy ecstasy and have some fun, you know what I'm saying, with your girlfriend or your, you know what I'm saying, your wife or your female friend or whatever. You should be able to buy that shit at the store and just have a good ass time with it if it was up to me. You know what I'm saying? But it's not. So there's that. You know what I'm saying? So why am I talking about this? The reason why I'm talking about this is because one thing that I think that people should do is people are talking about quote unquote culture, preserve the culture. All right, well, if we're going to quote unquote preserve or enhance the culture, and one of the things that we want to do is create innovation and create innovative things to establish and maintain dominance in order to be able to dominate the entire universe at some point, I believe that what people should do is create meals and food that are tasty and easy to prepare, that have some type of supplementation that allow you to maintain a healthy brain. You know what I'm saying? But that's just what I think. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I think. And as you guys know, and as you guys can tell, sometimes when it comes to the shit that I talk about, it gets way far out. You know what I'm saying? It gets way far out. But it's fun to talk about anyway, right? Or is it? You guys let me know in the comment section, all right? I think, let me see what time it is. It's 11 o'clock. We got reacts at 3 o'clock. I want to try to get another stream together before we do reacts. So I'm going to try to get another stream popping. If I'm not able to get another stream popping, then I will see you all at 3 o'clock. All right. So shout out to everybody that's in here. Before you guys leave, make sure you smash the like button. Don't move a muscle. Let this stream take you into reacts. When you get in there, make sure that you guys hit the bell, share that stream out. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,